If you're familiar with Dave Reichert, you probably know that he's strong on crime, right? That is a basic assumption of anyone who is a sheriff, anyone who works in law enforcement. You have an assumption, although it's not always right, but the assumption is, and it usually is right, that the person's going to be reasonable and sane on issues around crime, policing, drug use, homelessness, everything that sort of falls under that category of crime. But do you know where he stands, say, on education? Whether it comes to funding or what schools need to do, districts need to do to increase test scores? How do we address chronic absenteeism? Do you know where he stands? Do you think the average person knows where he stands? No, they don't. They don't. They certainly haven't been told where he stands via any news coverage. But the one thing that they've been seeing probably over and over and over again, which I've been seeing over and over and over again, are attack ads against Dave Reichert. In particular, an attack ad on education, which is almost entirely false. Everything in the ad that I'm about to play for you is false. The only thing that is not false, there are two things that are not false. There is a man named Dave Reichert who's running for governor. That part's true. And he is, in fact, the opponent of Bob Ferguson. That part's also true. Everything else that is claimed about him is just completely false.
As a teacher, I love making a difference for my students.
So when I heard Dave Reichert say that public school teachers are overpaid, I was disgusted.
He had the nerve. He was comfortable enough in Washington State to say that public school teachers are overpaid. That's my job, sir. You don't get to do that. I mean, did he say that? That's awful. Why would he say that? That sounds like...
Especially to a sacrosanct class like teachers.
Right? Why would he do that? Oh, he didn't do that? He never said that, although they're portraying it as if it's a direct quote? Kind of sounded like it was a direct quote. On screen, while she was talking, this teacher, it says, Dave Reichert, colon. The colon. It didn't write out colon. You get the two dots on top of each other? You get it?
Yeah.
Public school teachers are overpaid. Now, there's no quotes around it, but it's intended to get you to think that it is a direct quote. That is the intent here. That's the intent. And in the little text at the bottom, you know how it always tells you the source?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it told us the source. It was a Seattle Times editorial board interview that Dave Reichert did back on June the 9th. And I went to it, and I listened to it. And for me, it wasn't the most exciting because I already know where he stands on all of these issues. I cover him. But I was like, I don't hear him saying that. Where's the quote? Here's the closest we can come up with, and this is what he is claiming is Dave Reichert talking about wanting to, I guess the presumption is not only are you overpaid, but we should cut your paycheck. He was asked by the editor, Kate Riley, of the opinion section. She goes, we're very interested in public education. We think it's an incredibly important issue. He agrees with that. What are you going to do to address the disparities in funding from district to district to district, that there are inequities in funding? Here was part of his answer.
It's not a revenue problem. It's more of a spending issue, and I think we really need to evaluate where the spending within our educational system is being applied. I know that teachers' unions may not like to hear this, but we have some of the highest paid teachers. Didn't used to be that way, but we do today, and I think that we need to take a look at, first of all, prioritizing spending.
Now, in that, did he say public school teachers are overpaid? No. Did he even imply that? No. He wasn't critical of teachers' pay in Washington State. He was acknowledging a simple fact, that they are some of the highest paid teachers in the country, and that the funding that we're talking about should actually go into the students somehow, whether it's about funding better programs, better infrastructure, the literal schools, whatever it is. All he's saying, and it was pretty clear, that you should prioritize the funding to be more direct in its impact for students. Because if you are constantly prioritizing higher pay for teachers, well, you're kind of hurting these kids. Because let's be clear, student performance is abysmal in Washington State. And while the performance has been going down, pay has been going up. So simply throwing money at teachers doesn't actually improve the results. There's got to be other places where you can put the funding. That is all he's saying. Did he say at any point that they make too much?
No.
It almost sounded like he was bragging. Hey, in Washington, our teachers are almost the highest paid in the country. Isn't that a good thing from a perspective of a progressive?
Yeah, you would think.
From the perspective of the union?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. From the perspective of voters who support teachers?
Yep.
You say anything bad about them?
Nope.
No, not even a little bit. And yet, that is the claim coming out of this ad. It's not even the only just disturbing lie.
Public school teachers are overpaid. I was disgusted.
I was angry
Now he wants to gut funding for public schools.
by giving our tax dollars to unaccountable private schools.
It's wrong. It's
wrong.
extreme.
And it's not Washington.
It's false.
He can't be our governor.
Take it from this teacher
And this one.
And this one. Dave Reichert is too extreme for Washington.
Oof. Well, take it from this talk show host. All those people have no clue what it is they're talking about. These are teachers, sure, but they also happen to be Ferguson supporters. They also happen to be, at least in the case of one of them, a sitting member of a union. One other person ran for school board in Whatcom County. I'm going to get into their backgrounds in a moment because I found something kind of interesting there. But you heard him say, the main teacher guy, he's going to gut public education. And the same thing on the screen says, Dave Reichert, gutting public education. And of course, what was on the little bottom, the little source? It was another Seattle Times article, this one from July 29th of this year. And it's a whole article about where all the candidates, the top tier candidates, stand on education. And so I went to it and I read it. I did something that Bob Ferguson's campaign hopes you don't do. I actually did my homework, which is ironic because the teacher should want people to do their homework, but they don't want it either because you will have found out exactly what I found out. The Seattle Times article says quite literally the opposite of what this attack ad says. This is a direct quote from the article. Reichert said it was important to spend as much on education as the McCleary ruling dictated. He said his goal would be to make sure 50% of the state's general fund goes towards education. That's not gutting. Doesn't that sound like the opposite? It's like pouring money in.
Sounds like funding. Yeah.
Wow, so weird. And they say now 44% of the state's general fund goes towards K through 12 education. So, again, I'm not great with math. I will be totally forthcoming. I do need an abacus for this. He wants 50%. The current number is 44%. 50% is like, carry the 1 divided by 12 plus pi times 3 plus 0. 6 percentage points higher than what it currently is.
Ding, ding, ding.
Whoa. But I thought he wanted to gut public education. Isn't that what they said? That's what I heard.
Yeah, it's confusing.
It's very confusing. And so, dare I ask, because I started this by talking about the media's role in all of this. Hey, Seattle Times editorial board, y'all might want to actually, I don't know, provide some analysis on the fact that they are lying about content that you put out, content that you created. Why don't you call them out? Hey, television stations that are running these ads, y'all maybe want to, I don't know, say we can't air this. This is knowingly false. This is knowingly false. Or, dare I say, because I know you want to get the money, even though it's not a lot when it comes from political campaigns. You got to lower the rate for reasons. But could y'all maybe do a fact check? I mean, I saw the fact check about where Dave Reichert stands on abortion, which was basically you amplifying the claims being made by Bob Ferguson. I'm looking at you. What is it, KHQ in Spokane? Like, it's embarrassing. Y'all aren't doing anything, and this is part of your job. It means either A, they're not doing this because they support Bob Ferguson. B, they're not doing anything because they really don't care. This is not interesting to them. Or C, they don't think Dave Reichert has a shot at winning, and so they're not going to do anything that could be perceived as helping him because they want to maintain a good relationship with Bob Ferguson once he gets, to their point, into the governor's mansion. But dare I say that maybe if the media did its job, it wouldn't seem apparent to the media itself as to who the winner is going to be. Now, I went in, and I don't know if you know that you can do this because it feels wrong, but there's a database of all the teachers in the state of Washington, what their salaries are. Now, they're complaining in this ad about how Dave Reichert thinks that they're overpaid. He didn't, of course, say that, but the implication, of course, being so angry, and we hear this all the time, is that teachers aren't getting paid what they're worth, right? Hear that all the time. Teachers get paid not even close to what they provide to society as stewards of your kids. I mean, these are teachers who have to spend what little money they have on crayons and notebooks to give to their kids. We've heard that for how long now? Forever. Before the invention of crayons, we heard this. So I looked up the 5 teachers who were in this ad because I was kind of curious how much money they make. Every single teacher, and I will say this at least, the caveat is one of the teachers was not listed in the database. Don't know why, but he is, I think, the president of the Franklin Pierce County School District. So I'm assuming he's still working as a teacher and he's making good money. Every single person on this list makes more than the median salary in Washington State. The median salary being $94,000 and $94,605. So 94, we'll go 94,000. They all make more than that. 2 of them make really, 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 really great dollars. The first lady who was all mad and did the quote for Dave Reichert, she makes $137,415 a year.
That's like 137 times more than what I make.
Yeah, it is. Okay, you don't have to go crazy. 136. It's not like I'm not paying you any. Well, no. 137,000. That seems like a pretty good salary, yeah. And this, by the way, is based on the salary of 2022 through 2023 school year. We don't have the database, at least is not updated for this current one. I'm going to guess that it didn't go down. I think everyone knows that because they always renegotiate their union contracts. Another one makes $141,000. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. The lowest salaried teacher in this is someone who only started teaching in the state, it would appear, 2 years ago. She makes $96,586. So it's still higher than the median salary in Washington. The other one makes $98,957. I'm just going to round that one up to $100,000. But they're the ones who are complaining that Dave Reichert says that they are overpaid. Well, you kind of are if you're a partisan hack who goes into these ads. I kind of do think you're a little bit overpaid. And boy, it would be awful if a certain good-looking, smart, witty, humble talk show host were to put in public disclosure requests to get all of the curriculum to see whether or not they're actually sticking to the curriculum. If only there was that smart, attractive, witty, and humble talk show host who would do something like that just to, keep them honest. Because it seems like a major red flag to have a teacher in such a partisan attack ad that is just flatly lying.